Alright, everything seems to be going smoothly. Hello everybody, this is a favorite Russian Gold Scout episode and welcome back to a brand new video. This is a little bit of a late special, but I did notice that we surpassed 150 subscribers and I am so thankful for you guys. I am so happy you guys like this content, or you're just here to kind of poke fun at me or whatnot, but today we are looking at the zombie virus EAS scenario, The Awakening, by Eltic, featuring Harvester. In the year 2017, a distant relative of one of the most dangerous viruses in the world, with abilities unheard of, emerges from the United States and causes a devastating pandemic across the entire world and causes society to deteriorate. I'm honestly just waiting for that to happen in real life, in all honesty. And if you can hear anything in the background, that is my fan, because it is hot as hell here. But I'm going to cut the crap and let's get right into this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe. Go subscribe to these people. This presentation contains violent emergency alert system tones. Playing these tones in public or on the air will result in a mass panic and severe legal punishment. Similarities in this video to any similarities, I'm sorry. This is a work of fiction and should be treated as such. Notice all rights of this presentation goes to the creators. Yes, I do not own this, so please don't take me down, please. I'm broke. I have no money to pay for any sort of copyright issues. Humanity has experienced its fair share of pandemics ever since the existence of society. Some of these pandemics have been widespread and dangerous, while others were less volatile. And there are many other viruses that could cause devastation if they start spreading globally. But what if a virus with because all it takes to start a global pandemic is just one person. That is true. That is very true. Harvester. Electric Fanatic Studios. Okay, so this is like a whole ass movie. Electric Fanfic and Harvester present an EAS scenario, The Awakening. Honestly, this would be an incredible theater-rated movie. November 27th, 2017. 0 days since the index case. Life is seemingly normal at the moment. Seattle, why is it in Seattle? Man, it's either Seattle or New York where this shit happens. Whoa, hello.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into King 5 News in Seattle. We have a special report here. The Washington Department of Health has reported a high influx of what appears to be a flu-like illness within King County, although the exact type of pathogen is yet to be determined. So far, there are at least 120 confirmed instances of it, and patient 0 has not been identified. Its primary method of transmission is unknown. Symptoms of this illness include coughing fits, high fever, sweating, unusual sensitivity to light, and in some cases, severe headache. Several school districts have announced temporary closure to prevent students from contracting the illness. Again, both the index patient and the source of the epidemic.
Oh, hello. Community announcement. Man, I hate when these alerts wake me up in the middle of the night at like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, and it scares the hell out of me.
The following is a health bulletin from the Washington State Department of Health. This alert is being sent out to all residents in King County in regards to an intensifying epidemic of what officials hypothesize to be a modification of the flu. The highest concentration of cases are located within the Seattle metropolitan area. However, there have also been a few reports of the illness in suburban areas. It has been noted that this pathogen has been spreading unusually rapidly.
What?
To mitigate the spread, King County will have certain safety regulations imposed while officials investigate. A mandatory curfew is in effect, lasting from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following morning. In addition, citizens must maintain a proper distance from others, excluding those that live in their household. These limitations will be in effect for at least 1 week, beginning tonight. Remember to practice proper hygiene. Wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap and warm water to effectively combat germs after you go outside. Stay away from others if you are sick. Stay tuned to local media outlets for the latest information.
Wow, so Seattle is in a complete lockdown. Things like this happen every year. It's flu season. This is not out of the ordinary, especially after an influx of travel across the entire US. But this is a global pandemic start off. Exactly. The next day, this new epidemic makes national headlines.
This is MSNBC with breaking news out of Seattle. Washington state health officials have noted that within the past few days, a flu-like illness has been spreading unusually fast in several different areas. King County has placed restrictions and health guidelines for the next week or two to try and prevent the pathogen from spreading farther. Health experts have sounded the alarm, noting that this has pandemic potential. If the spread is not mitigated, then it could possibly start popping up in other states and eventually other countries. Officials estimate that around 3,000 people have contracted this illness, a dramatic increase from 2 days ago, when that number was only around 100.
3,000 people.
A small number of deaths have also been reported. The Washington Department of Health and the CDC are both trying to collect samples of the pathogen to try and identify it.
Yeah, and then they figure it out too late. 3,000 cases? That's a huge jump in a short matter of time. This is escalating quickly. Dude, if I had saw that on the news, I would be packing my stuff instantly and dipping. Oh. Civil emergency. This has gone from a simple warning to an entire civil emergency.
Missing persons alert. The following message is transmitted at the request of the King County Police Department Missing Persons Unit. Within the past hour, 7 people that are not connected to each other in any way were reported missing. Their identities will not be revealed. However, they were reported to have been acting strange before they disappeared. They reportedly did not respond when people would try talking to them and looked like they had lost their sense of direction. The King County Police Department is concerned that these persons' behaviors may eventually become more hostile and pose a threat to civilian safety.
Yeah, I'd be concerned about that too.
Do not approach the persons. Call 911 immediately and notify them of where you saw the person. Thank you for your cooperation.
Yeah, dude, if this was me seeing the news like this, I would be instantly packing my stuff. Even though there's no definitive link between the virus and the missing person, some people become increasingly suspicious of the epidemic and begin to question if the virus is actually worse than the government is making it out to be. Yeah, that's how the government is. They like to say, oh, everything's fine, and then 3 days
Hello,
later,
and thank you for tuning in to King 5 News in Seattle. Conspiracy theories surrounding the new virus have started to circulate online, especially after several people were reported missing. Due to the reports saying that they were acting strange, some have theorized that these persons were affected with the virus. These theories are popular on social media platforms such as Facebook or Twitter.
They're latching onto something that tells them what they want to believe. They're latching onto something that matches their existing worldview. And it's important to these people to do that right now because of the anxiety and the uncertainty that they're facing around
I need to look at how long ago this was made.
Question whether or not the government is telling
Back
the
in
full truth,
2021.
or if this virus is really what it seems.
How many people die annually from the flu? So even if this is twice as bad, it's serious, but I'm not concerned.
However, these theories are unlikely to be true because there is no other evidence besides the missing persons that can back the claims up. Nevertheless, this virus is still very dangerous and it's spreading at an alarming rate. more school districts continue to follow the trend of closing until this epidemic subsides. Officials are strongly advising residents to avoid going to large public gathering spaces and to wash hands thoroughly each time after going outside. Much about this pathogen, including the first patient and the outbreak source, are still unknown at this time. However, that is being investigated. At this time, officials hypothesized that this virus was brought into Seattle from the influx of Thanksgiving travel across the United States. Conspiracy theorists claim that the virus was accidentally released from a lab.
Of course it was released from a lab. Where else would it happen? After the missing passenger report, something worse happens. What happened?
911, what is your emergency?
Oh, hello.
I need help. My roommate is sick and he just started attacking me out of nowhere. Calm down, sir. Please give me your address so I can dispatch police units. 714 Scranton Street, Unit 2. And you said your roommate was sick? Was he sick with the new illness? Yeah, I think so. I've locked myself in the bathroom, but I think he knows I'm in here. Sir?
Hello?
Sir, are you there? Help! He's trying to break the door! Just stay on the line with me.
Dude! Dude, that would be scary as hell to hear from the other end.
Hang on. What? Oh my God. What's wrong? The virus. We were totally wrong about it. What is it?
What do you mean?
It's nothing like the flu. Look at it. It looks dormant, just like Ebola, but it can't be, can it? There's no way we missed this. Clearly we did. We've been treating this like the flu when it could be a highly contagious and deadly virus. We have to get this information out. Who knows how many people are walking around infected with an Ebola-like virus? The whole Seattle area is at risk.
Yeah, then the whole country, and then the entire fucking planet. The entire sounding the alarm. They actually have something for this?
Thank you for joining this emergency conference. We have conducted research on this new virus and have some urgent information to share with you. The virus, which has begun to spread rapidly across Seattle, has been collected, and scientists working with us have conducted research into its properties. Initially, we believe this virus was a flu-like virus, posing a threat to the weak and vulnerable, but initial research has shown this virus bears more similarity to the Ebola virus. Ebola viruses belong to a family of viruses known as filoviridae, which involve viruses such as the Ebola virus and the Marburg virus. Based on our Ebola research in recent years, we can conclude that the new virus is not an Ebola virus, of which there are 6, but a more distant relative, and likely fit into the category of a filovirus. This virus has now been dubbed Plaxiovirus. The virus has a similar composition to Ebola, and as such, the city of Seattle and its surrounding areas should be quarantined immediately. A full military blockade will be required to ensure the virus is contained as much as possible. Once we can confirm that a suitable perimeter has been established and will not be breached, medical and research teams will be deployed to help those who are infected and collect more samples to further understand this new virus. Members of Congress have been informed and will soon prepare to begin the necessary actions. The President is also being kept up to date.
And the President, too. Okay, good. Is that it? Oh, okay. Upon hearing the shocking discovery made by the CDC, Washington's governor immediately takes drastic action in order to stop the virus. However, since public still thinks it's a flu virus, they're a bit confused and somewhat angered. These are not their tasks. Please pay attention to the broadcast and listen for important details and other instructions given by authorities, as it may be vital to your safety. Brought to you by ABC.
The following is a message from the Washington State Department of Health in conjunction with the Centers for Disease Control and the Washington State National Guard. Due to recent developments with the virus spreading in Seattle, the governor of Washington has decided to instate a military blockade around King County. As of now, nobody will be able to enter or leave King County without proper authorization to stop the virus from spreading outside of the county. Anyone who attempts to breach the blockade may be met with lethal force.
What?
Life within the county will retain some degree of normality. However, there are limitations being enforced. Residents will be able to go outside, and essential stores such as grocery stores or pharmacies will remain open. However, Public gathering spaces, such as parks or malls, will be closed off to the public until further notice. This curfew will in effect indefinitely and will be lifted once it has been determined that the virus is no longer a threat to the general population. Stay tuned for further updates.
Yeah, Odyssey fills me out already beyond of the state. Like every seemingly strange action taken by the government, the blockade attracts attention from the American national media. The following morning, around 9 a.m. Pacific time,
We have some exclusive information about the military blockade around Seattle established last night. Nobody can enter or leave the city, and anybody attempting to do so will be arrested or met with lethal force.
What?
This has been done to contain the virus, and emergency medical personnel will be deployed in the city shortly.
So approaching
However,
the blockade,
the people of Seattle have made their opinions on the matter known, as certain individuals have been spotted attacking military personnel and using violence to bypass the blockade. On Twitter, the hashtag prisoners is trending at #1, as a considerable number of people in Seattle make it clear that they disagree with the blockade and believe it is a breach of their human rights. We have a citizen of Seattle with us today. 28-year-old Benjamin Kane has agreed to speak with us about his opinions on the matter. Ben, how has this blockade impacted your life on a personal level?
I plan to travel out of state to visit my mother, as she's ill, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think she's got much time left. I want to spend some precious time with her, and this blockade has just completely ruined that. Why we need the military to block off the city for a flu-like virus that doesn't really kill anyone is beyond me. I think it's tyrannical.
We're getting information about a potential protest in the downtown area. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't blame them. Their freedoms are being stripped away by the government, and they have the right to protest against it. Our lives have been brought to a halt, and we're being expected to just deal with it. Never in my life did I expect that the army would hold us all at gunpoint to stay in the city. This is America, for God's sake, not Pyongyang.
Anything you want to add before we let you go?
Personally, I'm disgusted that the people in other cities aren't making a fuss about this. This whole thing is completely illegal, and we should be fighting to resist this sort of tyranny. I, for one, will be taking up arms and fighting to restore my freedoms and encourage other citizens at Seattle to pick up their weapons and fight off the oppressive.
Sorry about that, but we cannot have that on the air. I want to take the time to make it clear that we at MSNBC do not condone violence against the military, and you will be met with lethal force if you fight the military forming the blockade.
Okay, good. Wait, what was that last bit? Sounded like the caller was talking about an uprising against the military in Seattle. This is not going to end well. No, it's not! Later that day in the afternoon. Okay. Bob began charging. Officers began firing on the protesters, that only slowed them down a bit. Dude, it failed. Whoa. Wait, in the background, there's an entire, doomsday alarm!
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Washington State National Guard. The military forces along the established blockade around King County have been over...
Oh! Please stand by, there's no actual emergency here. Programming. What? With the siren going off in some areas and being able to hit the gunfire, the story didn't exactly end up... Yeah, no shit! That leads them to wonder what's really happening. The end of the world. That's what's happening. Dude, I would be so terrified to be hearing those sirens. December 2nd, 5 days since the index case. The true danger of the virus is only known by some. However, Everyone will find out soon enough. The United States is currently the only country with the confirmed virus, having about 74,000 confirmed cases.
Hello? This is Randy Gray from the U.S. government, and I'm legally obliged to keep track of the blockade and how it's going. Have you had any issues so far, as well as any breaching attempts?
No, not at all. Everything is absolutely fine down here. No worries down here, sir.
What was that?
Nothing.
Hey, are you sure everything's alright down there?
Silence. He hung up! It seems the military is attempting to cover up their own failures to save their own skin. Dumbasses. But at what cost? Exactly. Later in Portland, Ontario? Oh! Comcast. Man, it's been a long time since I heard that name.
The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Portland Police Department in conjunction with the Multnomah County Emergency Management. The Portland Police Department is advising all residents to remain indoors at this time. Police are on the lookout for several wanted persons in connection with a series of killings in the Portland area.
What?
The suspects were last seen escaping from the St. John's Medical Center, located near exit 10 of Interstate 84. The suspects were described as three middle-aged men dressed in suits. They were also reported to have been acting abnormally. If you observe anyone that matches the description, notify the authorities immediately. Do not attempt to interact with the suspects, as they may be hostile towards you. This coincides with an uptick in hospitalizations in the Portland area. Hospitals have reported that many of the recent admittances seem to be very similar to each other. Most patients have had similar symptoms. 7 of these reported patients have died. This points towards the beginning of a flu epidemic in the Portland area. It is unlikely that this is the same virus that prompted the quarantine of Seattle. However, residents should remain cautious. Wash your hands each time after going outside.
It started getting into
Cover your mouth
Canada.
when you cough or sneeze.
It already got into Portland. After this led to some people find out how to believe that the flu in Portland is not the same deadly virus from Seattle. This sparks even more outrage when they realize that the blockade may not have even worked. Yeah, I already knew that blockade wasn't gonna work. It's the zombie apocalypse. Simple blockades are not going to stop anything. Especially when you have angered city civilians trying to get out. Oh. Hello? USA.gov. Oh, okay, password. Logging in. So seeing Washington.
I'm sending you this message on behalf of Randy Grave. He was tasked with keeping up to date with the Seattle blockade, a legal requirement. However, it has come to his attention that the military in charge of the blockade have been lying and covering up their failures. The military blockade, according to our new information, was breached recently. However, when Mr. Grave checked up on this, they insisted there were no issues and nothing had occurred. It was only when cases began to rise in nearby cities that it became apparent the blockade had been breached. Their attempt to cover up their abject failure has put this nation at risk, as the virus is no longer contained. As such, the President has requested we take swift and decisive measures to restrict the spread of the virus. He plans to crack down on travel between cities and contain the virus in certain areas. The military stationed in Seattle have been dealt with, and actions to prevent further spread of this virus will soon be taken. As government officials, you should implement restrictions to prevent the virus from entering urban areas, particularly if you serve the states of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. Goodbye, and good luck.
Wow. After hearing this, the government rushes to take immediate action to stop the virus from spreading further. Oh. Yet another EAS system. Which one is this? What state is this for? I should say.
This is an urgent message from the Washington state government.
Oh.
Due to recent events in Seattle, government officials have been prompted to initiate health-related restrictions across the entire state.
This is to prevent the highly contagious and extremely volatile virus originating in Seattle from spreading farther than it already has, as it has recently been confirmed that the military blockade surrounding King County was breached, and thus allowed the virus to spread outside of the Seattle quarantine zone. Furthermore, recent studies by the CDC have confirmed that this virus is completely novel and far deadlier than any flu virus. Its composition is similar to that of the Ebola virus, predominant in Africa and notorious for having an extremely high mortality rate, and virologists heavily suspect that this new virus is a distant relative of the original Ebola virus. The virus type has been named Plaxiovirus, and the specific strain is being referred to as K17BXVI. Its origin and its index host are still unknown.
K17BXVI, that's what they're calling it.
Due to its ability to destroy the mind of its hosts and drive them into a homicidal rage with a thirst for blood. Effective immediately, all possible methods of transportation outside of the state
I am just
are now
very
being shut
interested
down
in
and
this.
enforced by a legion of National Guard troops.
Only 24 minutes in,
Go out of state are being
55
cut
minutes
off.
long.
All flights in Washington state
This is going to be a long video.
Further notice. If you conspire with others and attempt to violate these laws by crossing the state border, you, along with any other accomplices, will be shot on sight. These emergency laws are meant to be taken extremely seriously. You will be considered an enemy of the state if you attempt to violate these guidelines. At this time, there is no clear time frame for when the restrictions will be lifted. Surface streets will remain open. However, all businesses or privately funded institutions will close down. All public facilities will also remain closed. You will have rations from the government delivered to your household every week, including 7 days worth of non-perishable food, water, emergency medical supplies, and clothing. If you begin to experience symptoms of K17BXVI, call the authorities immediately, and you will be taken to a secure location, where you will be quarantined and monitored for at least 2 weeks. If your mind begins to become affected by the virus, you will be killed as a safety precaution.
They're telling us that on TV.
Consequences and severe legal punishment, or possibly even execution. This virus cannot be allowed to spread across the entire population. Your government thanks you for your cooperation.
Dude, people would be so pissed seeing that. Moved to essentially imprison all the residents in Washington State. Seemed like it was out of desperation, frantically trying to prevent the virus from spreading across the country. But once a highly contagious virus escapes, there's no getting it back. A large-scale pandemic is now inevitable. Yes. Yes, it is. 2 weeks later, Washington has fallen. The virus is now well beyond the government's control. The western United States is now completely overtaken with cases of the virus, and they are in complete chaos. Truth about the real dangers of the virus is found out by the citizens, and it sparks outrage. However, there's no time for them to shout at the authorities for being incompetent, because cities are completely overhauled with infected and very hostile persons. It's complete mayhem on the West Coast. There's the sirens again, and gunfire. I hear jets. Oh my God! EAS has been activated from our area, please. Brought to you by Comcast.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States Armed Forces along with the Centers for Disease Control.
Dude!
Within the past 2 weeks, all states along and near the American Pacific coastline have experienced
you can see at the top of the screen that those states are gone.
PXVI virus originating from Seattle. This virus is extremely dangerous and has the ability to take control of a host's brain.
This isn't even like green anymore. It's straight up like red. And that sound was insanely, was a lot scarier than the original. Martial law class. Oh my God.
PXVI, and local law enforcement is not equipped to deal with this. Due to the circumstances, the Department of Defense has enacted an emergency protocol reserved for this type of situation. Under this directive, martial law will be declared in the following states: Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado.
All those
Residents in major
states are
cities
gone.
in these states are advised to evacuate immediately, as military forces will be conducting a full sweep of largely populated areas, killing anyone they see in order to slow down the spread of K17
What?
PXVI. Do not use highways for travel.
Yeah, no shit, don't use the highways. They're the first thing to get backed up with traffic.
For armed forces. In addition,
Always use the back roads.
providing updates on the locations
Use
of
back roads
government-sanctioned
everywhere.
shelters. Keep in mind these shelters have limited capacity, so not everyone will be able to seek refuge there. Reported onset symptoms of K17PXVI include, but are not limited to, violent coughing fits, chills, sweating, bloodshot eyes, an extremely painful burning sensation in the head or stomach, headaches, vomiting blood, and slurred speech.
Dude, that is a lot of
Showing even
symptoms.
one of these symptoms, leave them immediately. They are as good as dead. Do not be sentimental, as they will eventually be consumed by this virus and kill you. Remain vigilant and remain safe at all costs.
So they're saying if someone near you is infected, leave them behind. Outbreak is now truly unstoppable. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. And the next action by the government confirms it. Oh god, what's next? Regular programming has ceased indefinitely. Holy crap! Dude, most of the country is gone.
Within the past few weeks, a new virus by the name of K17PXVI
Under 500,000, normal red,
The
dark
pathogen
red.
has completely nuzzled scientists, especially with its apparent ability to infect a person's brain and provoke a
Dude,
homicidal
over
rage.
half the country is now red.
Though it is likely that this virus is airborne because of
I
its
would
rapid
be
spread across
so,
the entire
I
western
would be
region.
so in Georgia.
The pandemic has since caused mass devastation to the west coast. Military forces
bring
are
Georgia
currently in
down.
retreat and cities are in complete disarray. It has become apparent to the Department of Defense and the CDC that this virus cannot be stopped from overtaking the entire western region, and data from health institutions projects that this virus will wipe out over 75% of the human population should it start spreading globally. Due to the circumstances,
75%,
the president has
and that's
approved
like
drastic measures to
7
stop the
billion
virus from
people.
entering other countries and the eastern United States. Effective immediately, the military will cease all operations in states west of the Mississippi River. The United States has forfeited its government jurisdiction in the West. This may seem like a harsh decision, but it was made to protect the rest of humanity from such a deadly disease. Refugees from the western states will not be accepted. Electricity and gas will be cut off indefinitely. God bless America, and remember, you are all dying for the greater good of the human race.
Dude, that is so fucked up. U.S. government is in complete chaos. 22 states are no longer part of the Union. As the world paralyzed in fear watches this pandemic consume America. It is clear that the pandemic will not slow down anytime soon in the spread of the virus in America's neighboring countries. Later in Canada. Oh god, it's in Canada now too. What the hell?
This is an emergency message. Health Canada has
That's a
authorized this
sound.
emergency message. It has become apparent that the virus spreading rapidly in the United States has crossed into Canada. When this first occurred is not known, but cases have been detected in Vancouver and Calgary. The virus, known as K17PXVI, colloquially known as the Plague-Sea virus, is a distant relative of the Ebola virus.
Ceci est un message d'urgence.
What
Santé Canada a autorisé ce message d'urgence. Il est devenu évident que le virus qui sévit aux États-Unis est entré au Canada. On ne sait
I
pas
do
quand
not
cela
speak
s'est
what this
produit
language
pour la
is.
première
I
fois,
don't.
mais
I
des cas
don't
ont été
understand what this
détectés à
happened.
Vancouver
Hello?
et à Calgary. Le virus, connu sous le nom de
And I'm not skipping anything,
familièrement connu
so
sous le nom de
I'm
virus
going
de
to be
la
stuck
Plague-Sea,
here.
est un parent
If
éloigné
they,
du
if
virus
they
Ebola.
do,
Furthermore,
if
the
they,
virus has a
I'm
unique
sorry, I cannot.
ability to bypass the immune system and hijack the brain, causing a violent and bloodthirsty rage. The onset for the virus has not been
So
identified
what I was trying to
yet.
say is,
Common
if they
symptoms
do
include
play
fever,
the
diarrhea,
EAS,
vomiting,
the emergency
muscle
alert
fatigue,
systems
abdominal
from
pain,
all
and
over the
extreme
world,
thirst.
and it's,
Cependant,
they're gonna
le
all be in
virus a
different
une
languages,
capacité
and
unique à
I'm not gonna be
contourner
able
le
to
système immunitaire terre et a détourné le cerveau, provoquant une rage violente et sanguinaire. L'apparition du virus n'a pas encore été identifiée. Les symptômes courants comprennent fièvre, diarrhée, vomissement, fatigue musculaire, douleur abdominale et soif extrême.
If anyone you know is showing these symptoms, keep away from them and call 1-886-418-9212 and inform them of your location. A member of our
my question is, do these phone numbers actually work? Because I've seen a lot of like analog horror videos and
phone the same number
and whatnot with phone numbers, and I always question if it's like an actual thing.
Si quelqu'un que vous connaissez
Like
présente
if you
ces
call
symptômes,
them and
éloignez-vous d'eux
it's
et
either
appelez
a non-working number or the number
418
actually works.
9212 et informez-les
And
de
send
votre
it like a
emplacement.
government
Un membre de notre équipe pandémie
phone
arrivera et
or
s'occupera de la
something that's
situation.
been fan-made, like they did it in Puppy Playtime Chapter 4 with the whole Dory thing. They made the phone number that actually works.
Notre équipe pandémie s'occupera de vous.
Around 2,200 cases have been reported in
2,200
Vancouver
cases
and 900 in
reported in
Calgary.
Vancouver.
Smaller, more rural areas closer to the border with Washington State and the USA have also reported cases. If you wish to check if your area or an area you live near has reported cases of Plaguesia virus, go to www.healthcanada.ca/Plaguesia.
Not really.
Environ 200 cas ont été signalés à Vancouver et 900 à Calgary.
That's what I'm saying. Not a real link. It's not a real link. This is all fake.
Washington aux
This
États-Unis
is
ont
not a real
également
link. You can,
signalé des
this
cas.
does not
Si
exist.
vous souhaitez vérifier si
This
votre
is
région
actually
ou
did
une
exist
région
and
que
I
vous
can
vivez
give
à
you something
proximité
for
a
this.
signalé des cas de
Give
virus
you a
de la
map.
Plaxia, rendez-vous sur
Of like the US or Canada with
the cities
these,
of the Vancouver and Calgary
cases
are
and
now
whatnot.
under
That'd be
lockdown.
nice.
Nobody will be allowed to enter or leave for their protection. The Canadian borders are closed for an indefinite period. The virus has caused such chaos in the western USA that they have surrendered their control of the area in order to protect the eastern US. This virus is serious and extremely deadly. Stay alert, stay aware, and stay safe.
Les villes de Vancouver et de Calgary sont maintenant verrouillées. Personne ne sera autorisé à entrer ou à sortir pour sa protection. Les frontières canadiennes sont fermées pour une durée indéterminée. Le virus a provoqué un tel chaos dans l'ouest des États-Unis qu'ils ont abandonné le contrôle de la région afin de protéger les États-Unis. Ce virus est grave et extrêmement mortel. Restez vigilants et restez en sécurité.
Who's next? Much of Canada soon starts to panic. Yeah, I will too. You know, the nation grows increasingly concerned of the outbreak, and they elect to take action.
This emergency meeting was called due to a rapidly intensifying outbreak of a novel virus that has puzzled scientists in the western United States. This virus, officially called K17-PXVI, is a distant relative of the Ebola virus, and it can somehow suppress a person's immune system and take control of their brain, forcing them into an aggressive, homicidal state. The outbreak has raised concerns across the world as the United States Armed Forces, one of the largest militaries in the world, continues to deteriorate at an alarming rate. Several members of the Assembly have come forth with a proposal, cutting off all North American countries from the rest of the world to prevent a global outbreak of K17-PXVI. Several large countries have voiced their support and are willing to use their own militaries for this initiative. We will now vote on this proposal. Shall more than 2/3 of the Assembly vote in favor of this? It will be passed.
So, now all the other countries...
179 people have voted in favor of this, and 14 have voted against this. This motion passes.
So, 3 weeks later. So, all these countries have since basically decided to say, fuck you, America, you're on your own. Most North American countries have collapsed. The ones that have not, including the US and Canada, are barely functioning. UN issued military quarantine around North America seems to be effective at protecting all countries outside of the doomed continent. But it will not hold up for much longer. No. January 5th, 2018. United Kingdom. We're back in England.
This is a broadcast from the BBC. Public Health England has informed us that the American virus has reached the United Kingdom. The virus, known as Plaxia virus, is very devastating and deadly. The virus seizes control of the brain and incites a bloodthirsty rage. All infected persons will eventually become mindless and aggressive, relentlessly attacking any living thing they encounter. Cases have begun to appear around West London, near Heathrow Airport, and in the cities of Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Bristol, and Birmingham. In response, the government have established a Plaxia virus task force, and cases can now be reported at www.nhs.co.uk/report cases. We will send in quarantine teams to handle the situation, and your area will be placed under temporary lockdown. The cities previously mentioned are locked down for an indefinite period. All businesses are ordered to close until further notice. The government are preparing to deploy the armed forces in these cities to supply the people with rations and keep the peace. Symptoms of the virus are as follows: sweating, fever, muscle fatigue, shortness of breath, high body temperature, and extreme thirst. If you or someone you know are showing these symptoms, call 0118496045 and inform them of your location, your condition, and if you've been in contact with others. Our Plaxia virus task force will handle the situation. This virus has brought the USA to its knees, and the government are putting harsh and swift measures in place to prevent the same from occurring here. The Prime Minister will speak at 7 p.m. today. Please stay calm and remain vigilant.
The Prime Minister was found as zombie 30 seconds later. Global spread has begun. It will not be long until every part of the world experiences outbreaks of this horrible virus. Honestly, I kind of thought this shit would be started in China. Not being racist. Like, Jesus Christ! The Netherlands!
OP-Verzug van de Nederlandse regering wordt het volgende bericht verzonden. Het Amerikaanse Plaxia-virus, officieel K17PXVI genoemd, begint zich over Europa en in Nederland te verspreiden. DIT-virus is weer verwandt van het beruchte Ebola-virus, also het oplopt, is volledig van verlies binnen 72 uur circa. De laatste fase van DIT-virus is wanneer het de controle over de geest overneemt en iemand GEK maakt. DIT-virus verspreidt sich in de lucht, die US draag als hybrief gezichtsbedekking als je in buiten gaat vermieten auf Kontakt met anderen buiten jehuishoeden.
Dude, I don't understand your language, I'm sorry.
Gefixierde instellingen zullen tot na de order met onmiddellijke ingang gesloten worden. EEN volledige uitschakeling is nu van kracht. We begrijpen dat DIT-missie hard is, maar het is in het belang van ons land en de rest van de mensheid. Als u symptomen van Plaxia-virus heeft, melden onmiddellijk de autoriteiten en plaats u zelf in quarantaine. U wordt afgehandeld, het niet naleven van deze regels heeft de dood tot gevolg. Bedankt voor uw medewerking.
The following message is being transmitted at the request of the government of the Netherlands. The American Plaxia virus, officially called K17PXVI, has begun to spread across Europe and in the Netherlands. This virus is a distant relative of the notorious Ebola virus, and if you contract it, complete loss of function is certain within 72 hours. The last stage of this virus is when it takes control of the mind and drives a person insane. This virus is airborne, so please wear facial coverings when going outside and avoid close contact with others outside of your household. All non-essential business and privately funded institutions will shut down until further notice, effective immediately.
So it's now airborne, so no one's safe.
We understand this may be harsh, but it is for the good of our country and the rest of humanity. If you have Plaxia virus symptoms, call authorities immediately and quarantine yourself. You will be dealt with. Failure to comply with these rules will result in death. Thank you for cooperating.
What? A few days later in Nigeria this time. Nigeria TV. Oh.
This is an emergency message from the Nigerian government. It has now come to our attention that the American virus has entered Nigeria. The virus was reported in Europe a few weeks ago after it became apparent the blockade set up around America had been too late and the virus had already crossed the Atlantic and into Europe. We believe the virus reached Africa from Europe via the Strait of Gibraltar and into this country through Morocco, Algeria and Niger. The virus, known officially as K17-PXVI, in colloquially as Plaxia virus, is a deadly and distant relative of the Ebola virus. Despite this, the virus has different effects on the body. K17-PXVI is able to bypass the immune system and hijack the brain,
entire planet is
creating a
going
violent
down, and I bet
bloodthirsty
aliens are watching
rage.
from above like,
If
what
infected,
the hell is
you
going
lose
on
all
Earth?
autonomy and kill any
What
living
did they
thing.
do
Cases
this
were
time?
reported in the local government areas of Zango and Bor at 7 a.m. this morning. It is now on lockdown. However, due to these areas having a population of over 100,000 people, and the amount of time the virus has been in these areas for being unknown, it is likely people infected have left these areas and traveled
Nigerian
elsewhere.
EAS
You are
system
advised
looks
to
old.
remain in your homes and avoid contact with other
Looks
people.
like old school, looks
Infection
analog,
with the
kind
Plague
of.
virus will result in infection
With
and loss
the,
of
like,
all
old
autonomy.
flickers and whatnot.
Common symptoms of Plague virus are sweating, fever, muscle fatigue, shortness of breath, a body temperature of around 40 degrees Celsius, and extreme
40
thirst.
degrees Celsius.
If one of your
What does that
family
sound like?
members
I don't
are
know.
showing these symptoms, you must evacuate or execute them. Should they be infected, they will eventually become aggressive and viciously attack you and your family. You must execute them for the greater good of you and your loved ones. Fail to do so at your peril. The armed forces are now preparing to quarantine cities and prevent infected persons from traveling elsewhere. Be aware that this virus has brought the USA to a standstill, and should this virus begin to spread uncontrollably across Nigeria, it is likely this country will fall. Remember to stay vigilant,
They're not even
stay
trying to
prepared,
hide
and
that
good
the
luck.
country's gonna fall anymore. Soon after that, cases started appearing in Australia. Dude, they got to Australia too?
Please be advised, we are transmitting this message with very low power. The following message is transmitted at the request of the Australian Defence Force.
If it say ahead,
The
it was
American
running on
virus
very low power.
K17PXVI is spreading rapidly within Australia, with cases being reported in every state. Residents in Queensland and New South Wales are advised to take extra precautions, as the highest concentration of cases are in those areas. K17PXVI is highly volatile and contagious, and it has the ability to suppress a host's immune system and take control of their brain, forcing them into a homicidal state.
Oh my
If
god.
anyone around you is experiencing onset
Somebody
symptoms
know
of
how
K17PXVI,
do the right thing and euthanize them.
their deaths will be inevitable, and prolonging that will only create a larger threat. The Australian
Yeah, everyone's
military is
saying
severely depleted and
if
resources
you have a
are
loved
beginning
one
to
that is
run out.
infected, kill them.
It is advised that you remain away
And
from
they're not
cities
even trying to hide it anymore.
New South Wales and Queensland.
Low power.
Help is on the way. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We will survive.
No, you won't. Sometime later in Brazil. Alright, now Brazil. Oh, they're like Nigeria. Brazil. I cannot read that. Por favor.
Essa é uma mensagem do que resta do governo brasileiro. O vírus destruiu esse país. Depois de entrar no país pelos aeroportos do Rio de Janeiro, o vírus começou a se espalhar rapidamente por várias cidades do país, pois as péssimas condições de vida e higiene nesse país eram as condições ideais para a propagação do vírus. O vírus dá plastiense, dá uma fúria homicida na pessoa infectada. Em grande número, os infectados são quase impossíveis de combater. Nossos militares foram completamente sobrecarregados e, desde então, o caos se instalou no Brasil. A infraestrutura está completamente destruída e estima-se que cerca de 95 milhões de pessoas já tenham morrido. O governo entrou em colapso. O presidente faleceu.
The president of
Brazil grandes centros populacionais. Onde houver grande número de pessoas, haverá grande número de infectados. Viaje para a região nordeste do Brasil, na Amazônia. A área é rural e pequenos grupos de sobreviventes humanos devem ser capazes de viajar para as profundezas da floresta tropical e construir um assentamento lá. Esta é a transmissão final. O Brasil não existe mais. Boa sorte a todos e adeus.
Brazilian national anthem. So they just played the national anthem since... Oh. Hitting silence again. Back in the US. Okay, so we're back here. Oh. Primary entry point system. This is a new one.
The following message is being transmitted at the request of the United States government. Emergency programming has been interrupted to bring you this message. K17PXVI has intensified. Cases are now being reported in every part of the world, and many countries have collapsed due to extreme outbreaks.
Yeah, we saw
the United Nations blockade has completely fallen through. Out of the 300 million people that lived in the United States, only 29 million remain official citizens of this country.
What?
The rest have either succumbed to the virus or they have been cut off for the good of our nation. Anyone who contracts the virus will almost certainly become animalistic and homicidal.
Yeah,
all remaining residents of the United States are strongly advised to remain indoors at this time. Seal all entrances to the outside to minimize the chance of the virus particles getting inside of your house. The outside environment is extremely unsafe at the moment, and if you remain outside for more than 25 minutes without any sort of protection, you will contract K17PXVI. Make sure you have weapons on standby to protect yourself, such as knives, baseball bats, or guns.
Don't use guns.
The CDC is still trying to figure out how this virus can circumvent the immune system and kill a person, and they are also trying to find a way to prevent that, though it is not guaranteed that a solution will be found. Do not call 911 unless you have a life-threatening medical emergency. Please keep in mind that emergency services are severely understaffed due to the pandemic, and you may not receive a response. Do not rely on law enforcement or military forces for protection. We are currently devising a plan to hopefully provide aid to all remaining citizens of the United States. Please remain tuned.
Yeah, they're being completely honest now. There is little hope left. The president of the US realizes that there is nowhere left to turn his resulting message only drains hope even more. What? Oh, final message.
America, or for that matter, anyone who's left in the world. You know, I can't help but feel responsible for unleashing this beast into humanity and, well, our inevitable extinction.
He's the one that brought it out?
I don't even know where it is, since we cut off the western states, so a while, but not really. I mean, deep down I knew America was screwed from the beginning, but I had hopes that the rest of the world could go on. Clearly I was wrong.
Yes, very wrong.
At a projection based off of current data, it estimates that at this rate, 1 in 3 people across the world will get the virus and die, at least. And, you know, we could have stopped it earlier, but now it's too late. And, well, again, I blame myself. Perhaps this was the awakening that we needed.
Oh, he said this.
We as humans weren't invincible and that our arrogance convinced us otherwise. So this will be my final message as President of the United States, or just my final message ever.
What?
Hopefully one day society will be rebuilt. Thank you, and goodbye.
What the? No. President of the United States, a person that... The president killed himself? January 14th, 2018. 2 days. Final message to the people. Our country has fallen. You will no longer be able to rely on us.
Ladies and gentlemen, the worst has unfortunately come to pass. It's officially fallen at the hands of K17PXVI, as will the rest of the world. everything this country stands for. Perhaps one day it can be reinstated.
Fades away. Epilogue. After America fell, many other countries began to follow suit. Within weeks, only a handful of nations remained active. Holy shit. The last country standing was Germany, which declared its end at 2:45 on February 2nd. The men of humanity regressed back to a primitive stage. Over the years, some attempted to rebuild society, but failed miserably. Incompetence of governments, militaries lying to save their own skin, resulted in the end of the world. What the Jesus! Holy hell! Dude, that was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. Because we got to see everything going on. We saw everything starting from beginning to end. The final message from the president, I'm sorry, I can't speak. The final message from the US president and him killing himself on his own recording. Dude, that really... Oh my god. And that last final message to broadcast. Our country has fallen. Dude. One of these days, this shit is going to happen and all of this is going to go down and we're all going to see it on our TVs and we're all screwed. Unless we've seen, unless we know what actually to do, because everyone has seen some sort of zombie thing and we know how to survive. But, there's gonna be it for this video. If you liked it, you know what to do. Remember to bomb the like button and nuke the subscribe button and notification bell. Don't actually do that because other people need to use those. And let me know what you guys want me to react to next. My god. And once again, thank you for 150 subscribers. Thank you and good night to you all.